Welcome to She Loves the Grid, where we discuss all things F1. Whether it's happening on the track, in the paddock, or beyond the grid, we'll talk about it all.
And there we are. And we're back.
Yay.
Last recording of the season. And crazy enough, we're recording it's Tuesday, the day we're going to release the video we're podcast because we were hoping to get some news, but no.
Red Bull.
Anyway, let's just get started. Okay, so last race is done. The 2024 season's over.
Epic season.
I guess we went into it so hard last week. How was your week?
Good.
We kind of know more about each other's weeks even more now.
I know,
Since we're just living so close together now.
It's true.
It's
I know.
awesome.
What I did happen last week, I was sick. Well, I was sick, so
Yeah, that's
fighting
true.
off a cold. It wasn't horrible. The pharmacy is great.
Yes, the apotheca.
Knocked it out really quickly.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
What about you?
Yeah, I was at this week we did a lot of late night gaming, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good week.
Yeah.
Some sad family news, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll get through it. Okay, well, let's get started. I think we decided we were gonna talk about each of the teams, the race, and just go through. We've got some fun. If you follow us and you listen and are like 3 listeners, go to YouTube and check it out because we've got a whole bunch of stuff we're going to be talking about on our YouTube because we've got a whole bunch of fun stuff. So let's do this. Yeah, let's do it that way. I might cover pictures. We'll figure it out.
Love it.
All right. So we're going to do the teams in the reverse order, how we ended up at the end of the year for the constructors.
Yeah, the 2024 Constructors, starting at spot 10.
Spot 10, Stake.
Got points in their second to last race, so they did not finish with a big giant goose egg.
That's cool. That's really nice. That's
Yeah.
nice at the end. It was good for Joe. I feel so bad for Valtteri.
Oh, Valtteri. And all of his posts on race day were, his whole what's next. And then it was like points, and Joe was commenting points. And Valtteri looked really good in
So good.
quali and practice, and it just was not meant to be. I think for sure retiring the car during the race, he probably was like, this is par for the course. It's par for the course with this team. And I think what's interesting is he was very vocal in an interview that was done previously that a lot of it has been making the rounds on the internet where he said it was a mistake to go to Sauber. I saw more of that interview where he did say that he was supposed to go as they moved over, as they went from Stake to Sauber, but with the change in leadership that they had, now they have Mattia there. I think Fred was supposed to lead it up. Fred is at Ferrari. And then we had Andres, and then who was at McLaren before Andrea took over. And now it's Mattia. And once that leadership change happened, he didn't have a space. So I feel like, he was told one thing and thought his career would go on. And that car has been horrible for 2 years. So I can't imagine for his career to end
like
the
that,
last 2 years like this.
Well, and it's interesting too. They started, remember the beginning of the season, they had such a horrible pit stop, and Sunday they were back at it. Just horrible pit stops, and
it was
painful.
Not great. It really was not great. So we've talked about this before, but I hate to see both of them go. Again, Valtteri has a great F1 career. It's a shame that there's not a seat for him. And Joe, I've said it for 2 years. I think he's a good driver. I think he could come back. I think he could do something different in a car that actually drove well.
Yeah. The best drivers on the grid could not have taken that car and done any more with it. It was a brick.
Yeah, to say the least. And I think they bonded over. You see a lot of their social media this week is the two of them. And you could tell how much they supported each other, like in comments and different things. And they probably bonded over, like, I can't believe our lives. We're in F1, but we have this car.
Yeah, and we see that in their lids. So
yes.
It's so sweet.
So Joe released his lid. I think he was one of the first drivers this week to release his special lid. And as soon as I saw the back of his lid where it said Valtteri, what does it say?
It's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Like, what? I totally I was all up in my feels all week. It was just so emotional. But I mean, for him to put that shout out to his teammate.
I know. I love all the pictures. There's a couple of pictures of he and Valtteri. The one of him, showing all his emotions in China, and it is such a, like, I get the chills again just thinking about it. So
I know. And Joe, his style is amazing. I like that he did these as little snapshots.
Yeah.
They look like little Polaroid pictures, and then that vibrant red, to represent China, and I just. Gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be sad to not have him around.
And then Valtteri is what's next.
Marketing genius.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he needs to consider that. Marketing genius for sure. What's next on top? And then just a very, what do you call that? Like
it's simple. I love the sparkles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Iridescent.
That's the word.
It doesn't photograph very well, but it looked great in the car. I love that the angle, I noticed that in the camera that's above their heads, you could just see what's next. It's perfectly placed that it was in that camera angle.
Yeah.
I thought that was genius. It's lined up perfectly so you see that in the camera.
I'm telling you. And he's not slowing down. I mean, in the past, they've done different testings, like I think it's whiskey testings and stuff like that. And they've had a couple, he was advertising this week, that are sold out. And I'm sure he and his partner will be doing a lot, but it's just a bummer. He said he did not consider Indy. I think Indy came to him and he said no, but he would be interested in driving the Indy 500, which is something Fernando did when he stepped away from F1. So that could be kind of cool if he could get a team to.
I'd watch it.
I would
just watch Valtteri. That'd be so much
fun. And who knows,
fun.
maybe Logan will be there next year too. Like, we'll see. Oh, and Robert Schwartzman, isn't he?
I think so.
Or was he going to Formula E?
One of them.
I can't remember.
So many to keep up with. All right.
My little team that could. Gosh, remember the high hopes we had at the beginning of the
so
season?
Much.
We're like, they're right there.
Williams, I really thought was going to be in the mid pack, and ending up 9th. I'm so sad for them.
Yeah, we talked about even before the race, what if Valtteri does get points? They could leapfrog over Williams, and Williams could end up dead last. But they were 9th in the constructor. And again, I mean, what a season for them. Logan left.
So
mid-season, I guess that was, right?
Yeah.
And then a lot of damages.
Lots of damages. I was trying to get the final total before this recording, and this not a lot of updates yet on the deconstructor, but of course they led that as a team, and
we know it was over $10 million.
$10 million.
$10 billion. $10
billion. Yeah, it's pretty sad. But on the other side, with Carlos coming there, he did bring them a new sponsor,
Santander, which is
like a $73 million sponsorship.
Yes.
So that's going to be huge to help them in their recovery, because they need that.
They really do. And that logo is on the car as Carlos is testing Pirelli tires in the Williams today. So logo's already on the car.
Yeah, that's helping out. But with Franco leaving, it was really sweet when he came across the radio. He's got his chance to show himself in F1. He started out fairly strong, and then it just unfortunately was not doing well from the end. And if anyone's watching, we've got the picture from this is from the Qatar, I think, it was when just his car destroyed, and just adding insult to injury for Williams.
Yeah, and some of those were not his fault.
No.
And I hope that if there are teams that were looking at him, obviously take that into account. But I thought this was really nice right at the beginning of the formation lap for him to say that. And he kind of did hold back and said all of this, and then went on his way to the formation lap. But
and
very, very nice.
The only thing I thought was just really just it's kind of what they've been through this year and all what they're going through, that they were literally gluing and taping the car back together on Sunday. And that's some of the commentators talk about. They've got tape.
Was that Sunday or that was Saturday?
Yeah, I think it was Saturday. To get it ready for Sunday, there was like they glue out and tape, like glue
Yeah,
and tape.
I think
Oh
it was
my
between
gosh.
FB3 and Quali or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they literally had nothing left.
Yeah.
So glue
and tape.
And tape.
Like so good. That's why crafting is helpful. Crafting.
Oh, it was just so sad. Well, this next year might be a wash also, but we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. V-carb.
V-carb.
Who's that in the center?
I
just noticed that.
I
person.
did too.
Who is that?
I don't
Is that
know.
their?
Maybe was that the reserve driver? We got a helmet. I don't know.
Is it their F1 Academy driver? We were going.
I know we were just going through this. We didn't look at that. Yeah,
because we noticed that Red Bull was the only one that seemed to have their F1 Academy driver front and center. But it would make sense then that V-carb would do the same because there are reserve drivers over there.
Yeah, that's true. Could be. So yeah, V-carb. Not a lot to say about them. Still don't know who the seat is. We're recording. It's Tuesday morning after the race.
We were hoping to have word, which is why we waited. From either V-carb or Red Bull. But today we know that Yuki is out testing in a Red Bull. He walked into the paddock wearing Red Bull kit. So like the stuff you usually see on Max. And he had a Red Bull suit on, overalls on. So he was walking in. You got to audition for the part, right?
Yeah.
Like dress for the role that you want. So he walked into that paddock with the Red Bull outfit on and yeah, show him, Yuki. Just show him. Like, let's do it. Put two younger drivers here. That's what the team is for.
Yeah, that's what it's for. I will be. I mean, I already don't have any love lost for Red Bull for a lot of reasons, but I will be just extremely disappointed if they do axe Checo and then put anyone other than Yuki in that seat. I don't care if there's any kind of issues about Yuki or personally, who cares? Yuki brings good sponsors. Yuki has proven himself as a solid driver. And what is the point of having this sister team or, the like a step up team, whatever they say it's supposed to be, if you're not literally having people have that path and be like, go from this to here. That's
from the B team to the A team. And I think even he had said, they brought 3 drivers into V-carb over the last few years. And he's outperformed them all. Nick DeVries is gone. Unfortunately, Daniel's gone. Liam's come in twice. And
he's a bully.
I just don't like
it. And it's like, and maybe they want that kind of same attitude, but you can keep being aggressive, but we've heard it, so like.
But I think you have to earn it.
Yeah.
And he comes in with a swagger that he can't fully fill yet. So.
Yeah, and a lack of respect. I mean, his whole thing when he said, these people were once my heroes and now they're my competitors. They can still be a hero and a competitor at the same time, which a lot of the drivers still have respect for. Just see Russell with Hamilton. He grew up as my hero and now I'm his teammate. And even though he's moving to another team, he's still someone I look up to. Lawson does not have that respect for these drivers. He was battling and angry with Checo, and that's a sister team, and angry with Alonso. And like, these are still people who have way more experience than you that should be mentors, even though they're competitors. You can't be that much of a jerk and gain respect.
Yeah, you filled in twice. Yeah, you're a fill-in.
You
are. I mean, he is. He came in for Daniel when Daniel broke his hand, and then he came in again for Daniel when they let him go. But you're a fill-in. You weren't the first choice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, not much more to say about them.
We're kind of there, but good job this year.
Yeah.
Majority of those points came from Yuki. Just saying. And then, Haas.
So much going on with Haas. I mean, they did really well this year, compared to previous years.
Yeah,
that's really good.
7th in the constructor. That's some money.
Yeah.
And they need it. They're the smallest team on the grid.
Oh, you look at their photo.
I know. I know. And that's probably pretty much everybody.
Right?
They don't have a whole lot of people. Even back, in their pit wall. I mean, Gunter had said they keep it small for a reason. They don't need the giant pit wall, but it's like 2 or 3 seats. But yeah, that money is going to come in handy. And they've got 2 drivers coming in. But they had a great year. I mean, Hulkenberg with his great qualifying, great qualifier. I hope that Sauber can pull it together.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's going to feel what Valtteri has felt. And K-Bag just has showed like he is a defense guru and he's willing to go for it.
Yep.
And also the first driver in a while that was banned from a race. That was exciting too. And he just doesn't give any Fs. So
no. It's too bad he
I
didn't
love
take out
K-Bag.
some certain people the last race. But anyway, so it was really fun stuff. You know, like you said, they got P7. I really like the statement from Komatsu about, you know, having everyone be proud and, you know, enjoy every moment.
They really should. They've
Yeah.
done a lot. And in the past, when Gunter was there, they, you know, would hang on. They very rarely brought upgrades. They were kind of hanging on to stuff for the next year. And this year they brought upgrades as they had them. And again, those two, you got to give them credit, especially Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
They did really good.
And I may have to move this.
They're going to
around.
move up. Like, think when we've been at the races where they've been on the pit wall, you know, on the pits down at the very end. And now they get to move a few places this way.
True. That's true. So I like this. You know, he's talking about like
Kevin Magnussen.
Yeah, I liked how they put this up with and this is from the team, you know, really showing a thank you and highlighting his accomplishments. And I like what he was talking about. He got 10 years, you know, that he dreamed of. And so it's been a privilege. I love the motivation, you know, we get out of the drivers that have this positive attitude.
Yeah. I think he is grateful for just having the opportunity. And at the end of the race, his wife was on the radio and said something, you know, congratulations, honey, or whatever. And, you know, now we welcome you home or something to that effect. It was just really sweet. You could tell he's very much a family.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for the travel, 24 races and all that travel, you know, and he's going to hypercar next year. And I love this with this little girl. All the pictures we saw last year of her helping him put on his gloves. And then this year for him to say, and I love the statement, you know, Kim Millman's got this picture and grabbed this quote from him about like, whatever you think is important before you're a parent, don't worry about it. It's not.
Yeah.
And you and I being parents, you said, oh yeah, that's so true.
It is.
He's such a good guy.
Yeah. I think he really is a family man and he adores those girls. But I was happy this week when he did announce that, or BMW first announced it, that he will be driving with them with the hypercar. And I love that he's still going to be in racing. Like, he has had a long career.
Mm-hmm.
It's very exciting.
Sounds like this will make it a little easier to spend more time with his girls.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. Great helmet by K-Mag.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, again, the photos. I'm a sucker for a helmet with photos. I am. Like, I love that. And it's a lot of pictures of his daughters and his wife. And yeah, just lovely.
Love it.
Yeah. And then Hulkenberg. He's not really leaving.
No.
But again, I hope that Sauber figures it out. Because Haas is just starting to really come into their own. I love that he said that being with Haas was probably the most enjoyable time he has spent in the sport. And that says a lot.
That does.
You know, it really does. Again, it's a small team, and you know, to be able to leave on good terms, and yeah, that's awesome.
What I appreciated, these screenshots, these images are from the media that was put out by Haas, and that's just how good they've been about supporting their team and really being out there and with their drivers and whatnot. So I really appreciated this and them sharing these images.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is really awesome. All right.
6 in the constructor.
Yeah, right with 6.
Okay, first of all, the team photo for Alpine.
Yeah.
Everybody's mad about this photo because the photo, if you haven't seen it and you're not on our YouTube following along with these pictures, is Pierre and Jack Doohan. I get it's the end of the year. You do your end of the year photo, but I did comment along with a bazillion other people on this social media post by Alpine that it's so disrespectful. It's so disrespectful to Esteban. They knew he was there. He was in Abu Dhabi for the driver's dinner. To not include him in this photo when he did everything but one race. And last week I was saying I thought it was Esteban that wanted to step away so that he could do the testing. And then it did really come out that was not the case at all. That Flavio, again, who is banned for life from F1, but apparently is back, pulled him aside hours before the race, or not hours before the race, but that weekend. Yeah, right after the race. And said, either we will let you do the preseason testing or postseason testing with Haas, but you have to give up your seat for next week. You have to give up your seat. And Haas had already been making preparations for that. And Esteban was like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
And it's so horrible because obviously he planned to be there. And as he said in his post, which will show his helmet in a few, he already had a helmet made. That's not something you just get whipped up.
Right.
You know, he had a helmet made. He, there was plans for a celebration and, he's been with that team for several years and he
has their only win, has multiple podiums. Like,
how do you just unceremoniously just let him go like that?
And you cut him out of this last picture. And no Abby. We noticed that too. There's no Abby Pulling, who is the F1 Academy winner for Alpine. They've been very supportive of her all year, but did not include her in this photo.
Or their new driver, F1 Academy driver.
No,
we don't see her either. Like, it's hard to see.
And I can understand not including her in this, but Abby,
Abby, especially after winning the championship.
That makes zero sense.
So if you're not going to take the person who's got you your only win, why would you bring that out? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. But then Flavio, like you said, he's front and center. You can't miss him with his white ring around his head.
You can't. And I just think it's so awful the way that worked out. And last week I really thought a lot of it, based on what Oliver Oakes said in his post race after Qatar, where he said, oh, we were planning on him. I don't know what's going on. And, So it's like, was he lying? Did he not know what Flavio was saying? Like, come on. Yeah. This is just really bad form. And it just makes me not.
Yeah, is exactly it.
But again, we have to say, from where Alpine started at the beginning of the year, where they were complete trash, their car was so heavy, they were doing horrible, to finish sixth in the Constructors. And Pierre, great job towards the end of the season.
Yeah, it has been improved. It definitely has been improved. Now, can they carry that into next year? Because we've seen Aston Martin do that last year. We've seen, other teams start to improve and then fall apart the following year. So it'll be interesting. So, and so the team posted a nice, thank you to everyone and their fans, which was met with a lot of, you screwed over Ocon. They posted in English and in French, and then there's been a lot of talk around Pierre having 0 damages, and the first F1 driver. And I think this is the key, and caused damage, that he didn't cause the damage. Right. But then, so there's a big Reddit post where people are like, well, he did have to have his front wing changed because of that incident with Ocon. But it's like, I don't know if Ocon was considered the cause of that one, and that's why Pierre wasn't the cause.
Yeah, that in Monaco, that was when things really started.
Yeah, so I think that's why he didn't cause the damage. And then the floor damage, he did have some floor damage, but I don't know if that was not considered his cause. So that's where it's like he caused the damage. And then people are like, well, Lewis had very minor damage, and Valtteri had, I think, like $125,000 worth of damage, but was it caused by him? So that's where they're that piece of
word
caused damage. So it's not that he had no damage; it's just no damage by at his fault.
He didn't crash.
Yeah, or run into anybody. Right, he was at fault.
Right.
So
that's got to be it.
Got to dot those I's and cross those T's on that one. So we're talking about there's Esteban's helmet.
Yeah. It's also really sad. Like, he didn't get a chance to say goodbye to his, his team, his mechanics. He couldn't go to the factory. They really just cut him out. But I love that this helmet of his, it's got the French colors. I love the lines that go into the A. It looks fast. And then
Yeah.
on the back, it's him holding their one and only first place trophy. And then even the trophy for second place from a couple weeks ago. I love it.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, I'm
those different
hoping,
podiums.
I'm hoping that
Monaco.
when the season picks up next year, he'll be able to go over and, spend a little time.
Well, I'm sure they'll run into
Yeah,
each other.
yeah.
And I'm sure, like, if they're friends,
Yeah.
he probably saw them anyways. But
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
still, come on. You can't go to the factory and say thank you to the people that work there. But
Exactly.
sorry, Esteban.
All right, so Aston Martin,
Fifth
adore
place.
them. If you're looking at the video, there's no team photo because there's no team photo. I don't know if they take one and they just don't publish it or what's going on, but I searched and I'm the type of person, if it's on the internet, I can find it. There is not on any of their socials. I checked everything and everything.
Yeah.
And it's just nowhere. What they do, which I think is really interesting, is they have these stylized photos of each of the individuals that's in the garage. Like every mechanic, it seemed, every person involved around the car all had really cool stylized with the green and everything. All the group photos were all the different things that they do as a team to support, whether it's like History Month or Women in Engineering, or when they were like in China, they were doing all these different efforts, with the groups over there, Young and Inspiring Minds. They have lots of group photos with other people in the groups, but there's no true team. Then they do a lot where they highlight the two drivers.
Yeah.
But so Aston Martin last year, that was like I mentioned, they started off really good. They were ramping up, and then they made those changes in Canada and kind of fell apart. And it's kind of been a meh year. I feel like they've been testing all year and just waiting now that they've secured Adrian Newey.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens after March.
Yeah. I mean, March might be too late for the car, but I mean, they did finish we're at fifth place in the Constructors.
So solid fifth. No one could get near them on either side. They could not catch Mercedes, but no one seemed to be able to catch them.
Scored enough points to be almost half the grid.
Yeah.
But they just kind of were like, I feel like we didn't talk about them a lot in many of the podcasts, and they're just kind of there.
Had some good Fernando snippets, but no, and especially this weekend, he started out with, it was like, this is horrible. And then he came out the next day. He's like, oh, this is going to be a good day.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor Fernando, though. It did come out that he's had a hurt shoulder since Brazil, that caused by the car. And he did say, when you're in some of the, like the Ferraris and the Mercedes, their car's a lot smoother and there's jumps around a lot. And he hurt his shoulder. So when you have to hold on to that wheel and you're pulling 5Gs, 4Gs, even 2Gs, that has got to be exhausting. And we know, I can't remember what race it was, but a few races back, he talked about his back. That his back was really hurt and he needed help getting out of that car. Yeah. So they've got to figure something out to give them a safe drive. Yeah. We don't ever hear from Lance. I think he absolutely hates doing media, and we don't ever hear from him. So, but we'll see. Yeah. Adrian Newey, maybe again, next year might be a wash for a lot of teams, but
yeah, there's not much else to say about them. So that's why I just grabbed a couple of pictures that are, not much. All right, now we're getting to some fun. Our top four.
Mercedes, they dropped from second in the constructor for this year for 2024 to fourth.
I had to think about that. It was like the top four. I can't believe that. Yeah, the fourth.
Yeah, they dropped. So they'll be switching garages with McLaren. Who jumped up to first, but anyways, we'll talk about them in a second. But yes,
this was just all full of emotions. Like it's been an interesting weekend for them with Hamilton. It's being his last race with them, and I thought it was really special that they had a special spot for him to come out and park his car.
Yeah,
and for Parc Fermé that they. It was the race director's orders. Of course, that caused all kinds of controversy with the fans. Yeah. But like, he's not leaving the sport. Blah blah blah. Like 12 years, the most successful partnership of a driver and a team in the history of F1. Yeah, and this has been phenomenal. I thought it was kind of interesting that he turned in fourth, and it was the top four drivers that ended up being out there.
Yeah, that's true. It's like
that was kind of cool.
That was his great drive. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Lewis, to go from where was he 16th to fourth, and the way he just caught up to George.
And I love it because going into this race, they were tied to the number of points that they had got for the team, and
since George joined the team,
yeah.
And Lewis ended up beating him, and there was talk like, oh, did Toto tell George he had to move over? I don't think George is going to move over.
No.
But Lewis was on a mission.
Yeah.
He was absolutely on a mission, and the way he drove that race,
and if
because it was heartbreaking for him to qualify so badly.
That stupid baller that got underneath his car because of the K-Mac hit it, right?
Hit it, yeah. And it just timing. And Lewis even said, like, the timing of that was just meant to be like that thing. But he still drove really well with that thing under his car. Mm-hmm. Like, he was able to like kind of still be on pace, but it was slowing him down. So that was, I mean, talk about a roller coaster emotional weekend.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't think he knew it was there originally, because he was talking on the radio after quali about like, that was a horrible drive. Yeah, I messed up. That was really bad. And even Toto got on the radio and said that was bad. And I'm watching the video and I'm like, what is underneath the car? And it even took the F1 TV commentators a second to realize, like, oh, there's something under there. Because the color was actually matched their car.
Yeah,
so it was like, was there something on the floor? Did they even do the bottom of the floor?
Yeah, what happened?
That green?
It was crazy. Excuse me. And then the helmets. Oh my gosh, the feels, the tears. This is just so sweet. This is so many times I shared with George meeting, Lewis when he was young, and and then just to replicate that and just talk about, how much, crazy how time flies, and have that younger picture and then the current picture.
Of George asking for the autograph then them as teammates. And I like that the picture on the back of George's helmet is like a cartoon. Goodness gracious, what's up with us? A cartoon where it's kind of like they're not necessarily little kids, but I just love it. I thought that was a great little nod from George. And then he did get Lewis's autograph, like Lewis signed a book or something for him. So he finally got it. Because I'm guessing he didn't get the autograph when he was little at that time anyway.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
I love the smiles, the camaraderie between two. It's like brothers, like they're like brothers. It's so awesome.
I don't know if those two really are like brothers.
I mean, it looks like it. It's just the camaraderie. And then this is really his helmet.
Lewis's helmet. A nice little nod also to Niki Lauda, which I love. Niki's the one that convinced him to come to Mercedes, and people say Mercedes hasn't really been the same since Niki passed away. I love the Donka because it is, obviously Mercedes-Benz, a German team. I just, love it with the purple and the yellow, and
I love the colors.
Nice job, Lewis.
I love it. And then the tributes. Oh my gosh, the tributes all weekend have been amazing, and I love that. But okay, Lewis, it's hammer time. Be able to say that one last time.
Yes, I mean, amazing. And the fast lap with Bono, like,
that was so fun to watch.
He was so chill.
Oh, he had so much fun. Bono had so much fun.
Gosh.
And then seeing those pictures coming out in the last day or so of Bono wearing that outfit.
That Tommy Hilfiger outfit.
Oh my gosh.
Lewis is Tommy, and it's all jeans, but like sleeveless,
and
like
shredded a little bit.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh. He's hysterical.
Oh, what a partnership. It is a shame that he's not going, but Bono has a promotion and he's gonna be doing something a little different. And it's probably good. Like, this is a good place to end it. But Lewis, and then there was video of Lewis walking into the Ferrari garage after the race.
That's
new era.
New era. And
end of an era.
You could have timed that any better.
I didn't remember that.
This broke me when he got out of the car and just nailed down next to the car. I was like, oh
yeah.
That broke me. And they're like, and of course the media, what were you thinking? What was going through your mind? Just let him have the moment. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, the car, he's 6 titles with them, and it just, what a career. I mean, that is more than a career for
Yeah.
most people. And he's still going to be racing and going to Ferrari, like a storied team. But
I love how you mentioned that too, 6 titles with the number of people, of the fans that could not understand that when people were posting the 6 titles with Mercedes, like, see, he's only a 6-time champion. No, he's a 6-time champion with Mercedes, but he's got 7 championships. Oh my gosh. But yes, it was amazing.
Yeah. And I think too, to remember that people thought it was crazy for him to leave McLaren to go to Mercedes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He even said it was a leap of faith. I think that might even be in your next slide, but it was maybe not, but he did talk about it during that. It was a leap of faith to leave. People said he was nuts. It was a bad call by Mercedes, the whole 9 yards. And it was not.
No.
It was just as shocking, apparently, then for him to say he was leaving McLaren to go to Mercedes as it was for him to say he's leaving Mercedes to go to Ferrari. Like, what?
Yeah, I love this quote. If I could just get us off the screen.
This was him on after the last lap.
Yeah.
I love that he did the donuts.
I do too.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention it earlier. It was just a backup of it to state. You see Joe's donut on the side? I love that.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I love this with the helmet, that the team took his helmet and he wasn't aware that they'd done this. And they wrote all these messages all over his helmet and then presented it back to him.
Yeah.
That's something he'll cherish forever.
Oh, absolutely. Or what if he was ticked where he was like, dang it, I wanted that prestige. Like, what the heck did you guys do? Well, I wanted my helmet just the way it was. No, that was really sweet. And to see everybody from the garage, like lining up to take photos with him, after the race when he got back to the garage.
That was so awesome.
Sweet.
That was
so
awesome.
We did say what turned out as a leap of faith.
Oh,
what started out as a leap of faith turned into a journey into the history books. And that's exactly it. Like, it really was.
It was amazing.
The most successful partnership.
Lots to talk about this. His fashion choices for the weekend. They went from white and slowly morphed into wearing all red.
Yeah, I love it. Thursday he was all white. Friday he wore all black.
Yeah.
And then Saturday was a gradient of red and white, kind of like morphing. And then Sunday, all red.
All red.
And he's worn all red in the past, but I don't think since he announced that he was going to Ferrari. But yeah, all red. I love it.
This was purposeful.
It was absolutely purposeful. I think every outfit that he wears has a meaning. But this was very well thought out, and I love it. I love it.
All right.
Third in the constructors. Talk about moving down the grid, the pits. They've been first for the longest time.
Yeah, last 3 years. So now
moving on
they
down.
don't get the prime spot anymore.
Nope. And again, like VCarb, this is where I noticed it, is Hamda is their F1 Academy driver, and she is sitting right the cars. They have pulled her out. Now, some of the other teams we did go look, Williams and who else? Somebody else had their F1 Academy drivers sitting with the rest of the team. VCarb and Red Bull have them kind of front and center, which I absolutely love.
I do love that.
This could be Perez's last hurrah. I mean, he was looking pretty decent in practice and quali.
Yeah, he was.
And then he DNF'd.
Yeah, there's some, that first turn and then you can't go without talking about that. Max got his 10-second penalty because, he was like, well, I saw the gap. I had to take it, had nothing to win and nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So had to go for it. I'm like, no, you had nothing to lose and you had to go for it. You didn't have to go for it. And he wasn't ahead
in a way that would put another drirer at risk.
Yeah, at risk. And, because he wasn't ahead in the apex, he was completely one on the inside line there and, took out Piastri. They both spun, but Piastri spun out so bad and outside that he dropped, I think, 16 places or something, but all the way to the back of the grid.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, Piastri ended up with a penalty for a different incident. And even with that, came back amazingly, but it just, he got a 10-second penalty. And then he's like, Might as well be in 20 seconds, idiots.
Yeah.
So he can get away. Again, this whole feud between him and George, and him calling George Two-Face because George is more polite and, like reserved in front of the media. And he might show, give his real feelings behind closed doors, which some people call that decorum and having, the presence of, knowing where you are when you open your mouth. Whereas Max just like Horner's like, Max is just Max. He just lets it know how he feels. That's basically to me saying boys will be boys.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you have some.
Which makes sense coming from Horner because
Exactly.
I feel like that is his.
Yeah, exactly. Considering everything else. But yeah, it just kills me that he's just like, well, blah, blah, blah. He at least went and apologized to Oscar afterwards because he knows he was in the wrong.
Yeah.
And he knows he was. So all the Max, people out there, like Max admitted he was wrong.
Yeah.
And he did deserve the penalty.
But only to Oscar.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he wouldn't announce that.
No.
But it was funny because there was a lot of jokes online about Max being a Ferrari fan, and there were pictures of him when he was little in his little Ferrari pajamas or whatever. And people are like, everybody's a Ferrari fan, just insinuating that he tried to take out Oscar to help Ferrari with the constructor. But
that's funny.
I think the team principles, and we're not going to go into the whole Max George thing because we should have been focused on Lewis's last race,
exactly.
Joe and Valtteri, but the team principals getting involved was a little ridiculous. It was kind of funny that Toto was called Christian a terrier, like a dog, a terrier, and Christian's big comeback was, "I'd rather be a terrier than a wolf," and everybody in the comments was like, I don't think you thought that through. I don't think you understand what that means. Nobody would rather be a terrier than a wolf. Wolves are way better than terriers. Like, stupid. It was the stupidest comment, but it was like, he thought that was going to be a burn. And it totally backfired on him. Like, that was the funniest part. Really? Nobody would rather be a terrier than a wolf.
Well, that's about all we have to say about Red Bull, so.
Yeah, so they're going to be third, and we don't know. We keep waiting. I know you keep looking.
Yeah, I keep looking. I saw an F1 thing pop up, but it wasn't that. It was just a gallery, so nothing.
Yeah, so we'll see. We don't know if Sergio will be back. Sergio finally did say in an interview this week that they have to talk about it, and I didn't read the whole thing, but it was something about determine what his role will be. Ugh. So he could be moved into that ambassador role. Yeah. So we shall see. We shall see.
All right.
Wow. What a constructor. I mean, okay, first of all, the drive by Charles to go, because oh my gosh, to have his in quali, to have his lap time deleted, that about killed me. But then add the 10 place grid penalty for replacing parts that was over his allotment. But to come back from 19th to 3rd.
I love this. I saw a meme
absolutely crazy,
where they're showing like Charles at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And it was it's from the Cars movie, and it shows just speeding past everybody who's all in the melee of the turn 1 and all that's going on. He just like, I don't care about you guys. Just going past everybody. It was amazing.
Yeah. Didn't Charles voice Lightning McQueen in one of those? Like the French version?
I think so, yeah. One of the
something
versions,
like that. But yeah, like he was so motivated. And then to hear him on the radio throughout the race, like, how far back are we? Where's Carlos? Like, he wanted to win that constructor.
Oh, yeah. It's like, do we have a chance? And they're like, and I love it. Not where we're at this. And he's just like, he was pushing hard. He really wanted to get that for Carlos before he left.
I think he wanted it for him. Like, I mean, for the team, that was their goal. And I think for Charles, he's staying there. This is his legacy, really. And yeah, he wanted that constructor win.
So a great year. I mean, just a great year for Ferrari, really considering. Last year was a struggle for them with the strategy and all of that. They seem to be getting it together this year. The car was so much better. It was such a
such a one spot. They were still 3rd in the constructor last year, but like this year, I think knowing Lewis is coming, the wins for both
Yeah,
drivers,
Monaco.
Monza, all of it, like, Carlos in Australia and Mexico, and I mean,
But that drive was amazing. He was amazing.
He did great.
Charles was amazing.
Oh,
And
I'm so happy that Carlos got one more podium.
Yeah.
Like, I wish he would have stayed. It was driving me nuts to watch that time increase between him and Lando.
Yeah.
Lando was just so fast, and Carlos had said once they put the hards on for that last stint, they were a 10th every lap. And so they just kept losing ground. But I'm so happy he got one more podium with Ferrari. I still can't believe this little duo is ending. I can't believe that Carlos is leaving. I second Carlos's thoughts of Ferrari is finally going to be in a place where they probably can get the constructor next year. And he's been a part of that, like with his feedback over the last couple of years. And he's not going to be there to enjoy it. So yeah, he really would have. Yeah, it's just not going to be this.
It's a great pair.
Lewis doesn't really do like the little stuff that Charles and Carlos have done over the last few years. The C2 is what they call them. And it's just not going to be the same.
Not going to be the same, the fun stuff.
Yeah.
But there's Carlos's helmet. So cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it. And again, you've got the pictures, the 55 real, prominent on top, and
quite shiny.
It is very shiny. I loved that. And he had a special suit also that said like smooth operator on the leg and 55 real different on. Yeah, it was just really nice. Really nice. So there's his stats: 4 wins, 6 poles, 25 podiums, 900.5 points. And when I was going back looking at their history, there was a point where he had, I wish I would remember when it was, where he had gone over 1,000 total points for his career. And I don't know where he finally ended up, but 900 points just with Ferrari.
That's amazing.
It's incredible. Yeah.
And then the other fun thing over the weekend was that Arthur and Charles got to be the first brothers to be in an F1 session together as teammates.
Yeah.
That was so cool. I loved at the end of FP1 that they were waving at each other.
Yeah.
And poor Charles was recovering from food poisoning.
I know, from the driver's dinner.
And to come out and be able to do that.
And not only that, but his car, we weren't sure he was going to get out in FP1 because they were working on his car. That's when they put in the new battery.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, are they going to make history? Like, Arthur's out there, but Charles isn't. And he did finally get out to make it happen. And I know Charles was saying, like, between the food poisoning and the battery, he's like, our whole family is here, to watch this moment. And he's like, what if I don't get out? But yeah, him pulling up next to Arthur to wave, because they talked about it a lot this week that yes, they're from Monaco, but no, they don't have millions of dollars or a lot of as much money as a lot of people there do have, and they had to prioritize one brother over the other because racing is a very expensive sport, and they prioritized Charles, which worked out really well for them so far. Arthur is taking part in the young drivers testing today or this weekend or this week, whatever. So maybe Arthur one day will, or he'll go to another team. We don't know, but that was really awesome.
That was so cool.
Again, the emotions this week.
So much. And then
and this got me too. Charles' helmet. I didn't know he was going to do a special helmet. And I pointed out to you, usually, even when Charles has done a special helmet, he still has the red and white Monaco-esque flag on the top of his helmet. And it's not there. It says Muchas Gracias, Carlos. And it's got the chili. And I love that. I absolutely loved that little nod.
Yeah, that was
to Carlos.
It was so sweet.
They both were very complimentary to each other after, I guess this weekend and stuff, talking about how, they each made each other a better driver, that they learned a lot, that they've enjoyed each other's company. And, they've had their ups and downs on the track and, different things, but they've always been able to figure it out, or at least act like they figure it. They did a really great job if they are pretending that they like each other, but I think they really have enjoyed each other.
I didn't realize it until right now, but the S's are the 55. And
Oh my gosh, I didn't notice that either.
Look at that. Like the creativity of that.
I didn't notice that. And I can't even tell you how many times I've looked at that.
That is so cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a cool element.
Yeah, it really is. And I love that Ferrari, but I love that Ferrari, they did a lot of stuff, especially that day for Carlos. Everything was very tasteful. Everything was very classy. They did some things more privately, like showing the video to Carlos that they did and, made for him. I just, loved it.
All right. This has been a storied thing. It's actually the Oscar shirt.
Oh, I love it.
It's the first one I found. I have one for both, but I wore my Oscar one. What a great story for them. The first time that they've won the Constructor in 26 years. Of course, I pointed out that neither of the drivers were alive last time McLaren won. It was kind of neat seeing that win after, the Senna, docuseries came out and
so good.
So good. Back in the heyday when they were winning.
Yeah.
So what a great story for McLaren, because it was last year that they started to get better. And at the end of the year, they were doing so well. And at the beginning of this year, we're like, what happened? Because they started off kind of rough.
Yeah.
And then what a great end of the season for them to eke out the Constructors. Because with Piastri getting knocked out,
all they needed though was Lando
to win. That's all they needed. Mathematically, that's all they needed. If he had gotten, I was doing the math.
Yeah.
If one of the Ferraris had won, they would have, with Piastri getting into the points, because Piastri, even with the penalty, made it up to P10, they would have lost still by 1 point.
And could you imagine losing by 1 point?
Oh my
gosh.
And I was like, well, then they would have needed the fastest lap. I could have seen then them putting Lando into the pits and putting him on softs to come out and getting to get that. Then they would have tied. Then we were starting to look at, okay, then how do they decide for the tie? There's a whole process, by the way. But oh my gosh, what a crazy down to the wire. I mean, it literally was down to the wire this last race, which then all the conspiracies. Oh, this was manufactured, there was the race last weekend, and then this weekend with the penalties and all this, to try to make it even harder. So we did have a battle to the end for the Constructors. But no, I think it's just what happened. But it was amazing.
It was. And I feel like throughout the race, well, early on at least, I was like, we could do it. Like, look at Cheryl go. We could do it. I think I started off with, it's not happening. Like, that's how I woke up in the morning. Like, just calm yourself. Like, they're not going to do it. And then with Oscar getting hit on that first turn and going all the way back, I was like, there's hope. There's hope.
The commentators are the same way. They're like, this is a battle.
But like you said, where they started, not this year, but last year, the beginning of last year, where it was, they were making jokes all the time about what a tractor that car was. And then where was it? Around Silverstone-ish, somewhere in there. That's where Lando did really well, was on the podium. And it just turned around. It was when you made your Lego.
That's right. You still have it together.
And look at what you did. Look what you did.
I am going to buy the other ones and start putting together. Should I not put together the Red Bull ones?
No.
I'll put it together and tear it apart. Because I do tear apart my Legos.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I think we need you to put together like a Williams or like a...
Have they made a Williams Ferrari? I know they've got the Ferrari one.
No, they're probably not going to.
They have the Ferrari one.
They finished ninth in the Constructor. They're way down the list. Way down the list. We're going to walk by a Lego store today, though. So
I gotta go see what's in there. I gotta go see what my budget is for Legos today. All righty. Now let's see what we have for here. So some really cool stats here to take us off the screen.
He is going to be a world driver champion. He will be.
I think it's going to be interesting next year.
This is only his second year. When you think about that, this is only his second year. And the way he drives, and he's just so chill. It feels like he's been there so much longer.
He's got great media presence. Like
he's funny. He's got
funny.
that dry sense of humor. Oh my gosh.
So he's the only driver in history of Formula One. 4 drivers have finished 100% of the laps of the season, and Oscar is now one of those drivers. It's a 4th.
But remember when Max ran into him, and we jumped up.
Yeah.
And I like one of the things that came out of my mouth is that ruins his 100% of the laps. Like, but then he got back in it.
Yeah, thank goodness, because Max did it last year, and so now Oscar's done it. So technically, Oscar's is a greater accomplishment because it's the longest season.
True.
Because we had the cancellation last year, 24 races. So he has completed more laps in a season than any other driver.
That's what they should do. But look at the company that he's in. Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, and Max Verstappen, all world champions.
Yeah, and on his 2nd season in F1. I mean,
that's incredible.
He's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
He's really incredible.
I'm excited for him. I root for Oscar a lot. I love these drivers.
And then yes, they're champions. They finished this with no DNFs. So that's a Formula One first. That's never happened.
Yeah, because I mean, even if it's not an accident, it's like your car's just breaking down.
And the technicality is Orlando did not he exited early, but he completed enough of the race to consider he placed. So he had enough of the race he considered a place, so it's not considered a DNF.
When Max took him out so brutally. Yeah.
So that's the asterisk, but they did he was not considered a DNF. He did get a place on the track.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
That's pretty cool.
McLaren.
So there's some fun things. This team just won it. There's some really cool stuff from
a win by Lando. Like, remember the start of the season? 0 wins. People are calling him Lando no wins. He's always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Like, and 4 wins. And he ends it with a win.
With a
That's exciting.
It's amazing.
Yeah. That's exciting.
So 9 Constructors championships now. They've like I said, we said the first one in 26 years. And
craziness.
I mean, crazy. Yeah. And neither driver was alive at the time.
Yeah.
It's just and another thing, and I do love when they're like, well, we need to do it again while we're still alive.
Yes, Oscar. He's like, I hope that happens again.
So that's how the race. Let's get back to the races.
Oh, the double podium by Ferrari. Like, I mean, again, for Charles to go from 19th to 3rd, the double podium, we still couldn't pull out the constructor, but I think they said this on the race, they will go back and look at, like, where did we mess up? Because there definitely were strategy issues. There definitely were issues just throughout the season that a little bit here or there.
What I like is it's another week there's 7 teams in the top 10. Another week of multiple teams in the top 10. Another week of not really knowing who was going to win. I like that some of the commentators talked about how exciting the season was because we really were going into not knowing who was going to win each race, who was going to be in the top 10. It was not a boring season. And every time I was posting, I was like, every time I was posting results, I can't say it was exciting again. I'm saying that every week because it really has been. And this race was just as exciting. I mean, look, Fernando got up in points.
Yep.
Nico's got points.
8.
Alpine.
Pierre again, 7th place. Like, oh my God.
Max down in 6th. I mean, who was going to expect that Max only got P6?
Yeah. Exactly.
And he technically started higher, started P4. So he lost 2 places.
Yeah.
And that's with a bump up because of the penalty they gave, was it Nico?
Nico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was crap.
For an impeding.
And then Charlotte got driver of the day. We were all trying to get Valtteri driver of the day. So if you're watching Valtteri.
I voted Valtteri. But you know what? Again, also a great drive by Charles.
Yeah,
he deserves it.
He did deserve it. He should have hopefully got the overtake award too, because he deserved that.
Oh yeah.
That between him and Hamilton though, they both had some amazing overtakes.
Yeah.
But there's our top then. I love that it's like McLaren, Ferrari, both Mercedes. Like, but again, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different constructors in the top 10.
Wow,
Well,
they're talking too about how the last 3 years, the person that finished second to Max doesn't win any races the next year. It happened to Charles.
Oh.
Happened to Perez this year.
Oh man.
So come on, Lando.
Let's break that curse.
Yes.
And then our team standings.
Oh, I don't like the number. McLaren was 666. Oy. And Ferrari 652. Like so close. And then Red Bull 589. They're back there.
Yeah.
And thank God, Kick Sauber with 4 points. Woo!
At least we don't have a
On the
zero for that.
board.
That's really nice.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that. Way to go, Joe.
That's really cool. And then looking into next year, we were hoping we'd have
Look at all
updates.
the rookies. Antonelli. Who else do we got?
Bor-
Behrman, Bortoletto. Maybe somebody at VCarb. Doohan. Although technically, if he raced today, I don't know if he will be considered a rookie. Actually, Behrman's not considered a rookie.
No, that's right.
Because he did 2 races this year. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. We got a lot of young ones, and it's exciting because we've talked about that a few times this year. Like F2, Doohan wasn't part of F2. He was before, but, there's a lot of talent there. And we see these guys coming up and jumping in the car, and they do amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting.
But interesting how this finalizes when
And today we got our first look at Ocon in a Haas. He was head to toe Haas. None of the other drivers are. Sainz is wearing an all white suit for Williams. Bortoletto is wearing an all black suit for Kick Sauber. So yeah, Haas was like, "You're ours now." They let you go.
Do it.
And
Let's do
Ocon
it.
is all about it.
I'm glad they did that.
Me too.
And our races for next year, we still got to figure out where we're going.
So we're starting back at Australia being the first race of the season, which I kind of like. I think that's awesome. So
it's like the one that's got all the crashes, 2 years ago. So let's hopefully nobody tears up their cars on the first race.
And it does happen. And that race is notorious for all of the crashes. And we've got some that have moved around. Like Canada has moved up quite a bit to June. Who else? I don't know.
Spain is still right where it is normally. And this is the last year for Spain. For Barcelona, because it's moving to Madrid to a straight race.
Monza's earlier because it was the end of September, beginning of October. So it's almost a month earlier next year.
And then we do know that last 2 years for Netherlands, and then they extended.
We do have 3 races in a row at the end again.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Wowza.
Oh, my goodness.
Do we have another really big gap? April. Ooh, April's 3 races in a row also. Or is that 4? March 21st through the 23rd? No. Wowza. We got to decide what we're doing.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a fun year.
Yeah.
Fun year? But it was a fun year.
It was a fun year. It was way more than we expected, especially
and that race
after
this past
year.
weekend was amazing.
Yeah. So let's hope that it happens again.
I'm sure.
2025.
And before we end, your social media post got called out by Laura and James.
Oh,
awesome.
My story.
Your story.
Yeah.
They both
getting ready for the race. So yes, Laura Winter from F1 TV and James Hinchcliffe, former driver.
Which is so awesome.
Also, reshared it, or I don't know it's not reposted your story. I don't know, reshared your story.
They included it in their story threads or whatever.
Yeah, that was fun. I was like,
That's so
I think
cool.
you noticed the Laura one while you're like, oh my gosh.
That's so cool. So cool. So, all right. I think that's it. That's it for the race. And we got to get this out and posted. And it was a little bit of a long one, but we appreciate everyone sticking out.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the other side.
On the other side. Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and a review. To stay up to date with She Loves the Grid and get all the behind the scenes content, you can follow us on Instagram at She Loves the Grid and on Facebook at facebook.com/She Loves the Grid. Thank you for joining us for the ride this week.